Okay, guys, welcome. It's good to see you again. Today, we're going to get into give you an understanding of the Stellar stack, and this is also very important for you to know before you start coding. But before we get into it, I want to give a very quick recap to what we did last week. Let me share my screen. So let's have a quick recap. I hope you can you see my screen? Okay. Let's wait. Okay. So last week we introduced you to blockchain. We learned about what blockchain is. In short, a blockchain is a decentralized distributed ledger that records transactions across many computers in such a way that the registered transaction cannot be altered retroactively. So it cannot change any data from the past. It stays forever. So each block contains a timestamp, a list of transactions, and a hash of the previous block. So this ensures that no tampering is done, and all participants hold a copy of the ledger, ensuring transparency and security. And we also dive into a little bit, not really dive into, but we spoke about the consensus mechanism, which are used to validate and approve new transactions before they're added. So, and these are the core concepts that we learn. We learn about decentralization, transparency, immutability, and consensus. We're gonna dive deeper into that, hopefully maybe tomorrow or next week. And then we learn about smart contract, which is what you're going to be coding as we go on. So smart contracts are self-executing programs that runs on the blockchain when specific conditions are met. We also had an overview of the history and evolution of blockchain, starting in 1991 up to where we are now. There's about 560 million global crypto users. And we also show you a visual way of how blockchain works, and some of so data is grouped into blocks and linked in chronological order. So each block includes the header, the transaction, and the hash. So tampering with one block breaks the chain, making fraud easy to detect. So this is something that we really spoke on. And now we've also learned about the key blockchain terminology like node, wallet, hash, ledger, and the use cases of blockchain. And you have to remember that blockchain is not cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency is not blockchain. So cryptocurrency is just one use case of blockchain. And some of the cryptocurrency that we touched on was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Stellar, XLM, sorry. And it's another use case is finance, supply chain, healthcare, and voting. So yeah, this is basically what we did last week. We learned about different blockchain platform, how blockchain works, and just introducing you to blockchain. And so far, does anyone has any question or concerned? Any question or concerned? Okay, let's continue. So today we're going to learn about the Stellar stack. Let me share my screen. Okay, yeah, building on Stellar, an introduction to Stellar stack. This is what we're going to cover today. Hopefully, we cover most of this today. So Stellar networks, the Stellar core, Horizon API, RPC, SDKs, lumens, transaction fees, and testnet data. I know it sounds funny because there's all these letters here, all these abbreviations, but don't worry, you get it by the end of this session, hopefully, if we manage to finish everything. Okay. Alrighty, come on. What's going on? I'm having trouble. Okay. So a brief introduction of Stellar. So Stellar is an open source network for currencies and payment. Its mission is to create financial infrastructure that is resilient to failures, accessible to everyone, and efficient enough to handle real-world cases. So this is the main reason that Stellar exists. So to make financial system open to everyone, accessible to everyone, and also efficient enough to handle real world use cases. It's all about it's all about the real world. What we're actually doing to improve the financial situation, especially in emerging economies. It was founded by Jed McCaleb and Joyce Kim in 2014. So Stellar aims to bridge the gap between different financial systems and facilitate cross-border transactions. So here's some additional details about Stellar. So one thing also you should understand is there's Stellar as the protocol, Stellar as the blockchain, and then there's Stellar as the development foundation. So Stellar Development Foundation backs and support the development of the Stellar blockchain. And it's this through Stellar Development Foundation where different nodes come into agreement if they want to make some changes, if they want to update the blockchain, or if and also with what we're doing here, for example, they also support the ambassadors who are doing things like, for example, running classes like this one, and so on and so forth. And there's, as of 2024, there was over 4.3 million accounts. So these are active accounts, but this doesn't mean that it's 4.3 million people. It's just 4.3 accounts that interacted with Stellar blockchain. Stellar consensus protocol ensures transactions validation and security. So the Stellar consensus protocol is, I'll say, is different when you compare it with other blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum. It has its own special sauce. We're going to learn more as we go along this session. This is something that is so important, something that you have to know. Before you get into coding and building an application, you have to understand what lies behind the blockchain, and for it to make sense. So here is the overview of the Stellar stack. It has different layers. So the first layer is the network. The second layer is data availability, and then there's developer tooling and application. We'll learn more about that, but for now, let's just have a short introduction, maybe to understand what each layers stand for. The first layer here, network, deals with the core protocol. And the core protocol is where you have your consensus mechanism, where you have where everything is happening behind the scene. And then there's data availability. This is the layer that connects to the core protocol. So you have to understand that in the core protocol, that's the area that deals with all the infrastructure of the blockchain itself. That's where the ledger. That's the part that deals with the ledger and all that. And the data availability is just I won't say it's the tool. Uh, the data availability is the APIs that you or the tools. Yeah, you can say the tools that you use to connect to the blockchain itself. And then there's developer tooling. These are some of the stuff that you're going to be using. So the developer tooling deals with, for example, the SDK. If you're familiar with coding, the SDK, which makes it simpler for you as a developer to build, for example, your smart contract or your application. And it also deals with the operations that you need. So this developer tooling is something that you're going to be dealing with. But also as a blockchain developer, you can also decide to work on the core protocol, which is more advanced than working on the higher layers like application and developer tooling. So the last layer here, this is where you have your wallet, your front-facing applications like your wallet, wallet selector, anchor platform, and all that. We're gonna go deep into that. It's just a brief overview of that. Okay, Stellar network overview. Stellar operates 3 distinct networks to support various stages of development and deployment. So there is the mainnet, there's the testnet, and the future net. So these ones are 3 distinct network. So as a developer, you have to know where you stand when you're developing your application, because you have to remember Stellar blockchain deals with real asset. So the XLM is a real asset that you can use. You can sell it and get real fiat currency if you sell your XLM. So when you build your application, you have to make sure that you have to make sure that it is efficient enough in a way that it doesn't spend a lot of XLMs in during its operations. And you also have to make sure that it is tested and ready, 100% ready in production. So since we're dealing with that, Stellar Foundation decided that, okay, we have the mainnet, which is for the live project, the live application that you can use. So you're like, okay, let's create a test net. And it's not only Stellar. Ethereum, if you're familiar with Ethereum also they also have their own test net. So they decide to create a test net where you can test your application before deploying your application in the mainnet. So in the test net, this is where you test, you see, okay, how it will work in production. So I'd say the testnet is a replica of the mainnet. But here, there's no financial risk. Here you have your fake XLM. You can use your fake SLM however you want and see how your application works. So in short, the testnet is a sandbox environment for testing applications. So in short, the testnet is a sandbox environment for testing applications without real financial risk. And the mainnet, and then there's the mainnet. So the mainnet is the production network for live transactions. This is when, after you've tested your application, this is something we're going to work on when we create our smart contract. We're going to be dealing with the testnet. But once your app is ready for production, that's when you deploy to the mainnet. And this is the main production network for live transactions. And then there's a very interesting one, the future net. So a future net is a cutting-edge development network for experimenting with upcoming features. You have to remember, Stellar, although it doesn't happen every time, Stellar upgrades itself. Like they upgrade in 2022, where they upgraded from being a blockchain network for only cryptocurrency to now adding smart contract functionality. So that was an upgrade. So there's upgrade that happens in the mainnet. So the future net is just another network where developers can test upcoming features or features that are proposed, and to see how it works, how we interact with smart contract, how we, they just test the block the so it's a network where they test all the upcoming features. Does it make sense? So anyone so far, does anyone have any question? Raise your hand if you have any question. Okay, thumbs up if you understand everything so far. Thumbs up. Okay, so in short, we spoke about the different networks. So we have the test net, the mainnet, and the future net. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to dive deep into mainnet. So the mainnet, like I said, is a primary network for applications in production. It connects to real financial rails and requires XLM for transactions. So it handles live transactions with actual monetary value, and the transaction in the mainnet needs to be funded with lumens. And it's using live production environment, deployed application, interactive mainnet for real world use cases. So some additional details. The mainnet has a robust security measure and a high uptime to ensure reliability. So Stellar itself, the mainnet has never been down. It has never been down since its inception. And the network participant banks, payment processors, and individuals use mainnet for cross-border payments and asset issuance. So this is where the real thing happens. This is where money is used, real money is used. So when you create your application, you have to make sure you have gone through the process of testnet before you can deploy on the mainnet. Because here we're dealing with financial, actual monetary value. Okay, so here the testnet. The testnet mimics mainnet, but do not connect to real money. So this is ideal for developers to test their applications without financial risk. So this is where you're going to be at. This is where we're going to build our smart contract and test it. So it's free to use network maintained by SDF. So developers can test applications without incurring costs, and it reset periodically. So the network is reset to clear data and maintain performance. So the reset happens, like the last reset was about a month or two ago, but it's not something that happens commonly. It happens, like it rarely happens, but it does happen. And the reason this happens is to clear all the data and also to maintain the performance. So if you create a smart contract on the testnet and you interact with the testnet, once the network reset, you're going to lose all your data is going to disappear. So that's what happens. But it's in the testnet, so you don't have to worry about that. You can redeploy your smart contract, and you don't lose any real monetary value. The testnet includes the friendbot for test XLM. So a friendbot is a service that dispenses test lumens to new testnet accounts for free. So lumens, if you don't know, maybe I never really mentioned it. So lumens is uh, the cryptocurrency that runs on the Stellar network. But on the testnet, you can get free XLM, fake XLM, and that you can use to try your smart contract, or you can use it just to send it around and play around with it. Additional details, developer community. So there's a vibrant community that provides support and shares best practices for using testnet. You can find them on Discord. And testing new features. It's ideal for testing new application features and ensuring that they work as expected before deploying to mainnet. So like, and this just repeat what I said. Before you deploy to the mainnet, you gotta test your application and making sure that everything works accordingly and as expected. One common theme that I'm gonna be doing here is just repeating myself, just to make sure everyone understand what I'm teaching. And then the last but not least, there's the future net. So the future net is a development network for testing bleeding edge features. It provides a sandbox for experimenting with new functionalities before they are introduced to the mainnet. So this is some of the stuff that you have, you can do on the future net. So you access to the latest features. So developers can experiment with upcoming features, and it's less predictable. There's less predictable resets compared to the testnet. The reset schedule is more flexible, reflecting to experimental features. Yes, Willa, you can ask your question.
Um, like from your explanation, it sounds like FutureNet and TestNet are kind of similar. So what's the difference? Because
So the okay, so the
because
testnet. Okay, can go on.
because what I'm getting from it is you are testing in both of them.
Yeah. Okay, there is two major differences between the FutureNet and the testnet. The testnet is a replica of the mainnet. So whatever feature you find in the mainnet, you'll find it in the testnet. And another thing about the testnet is predictable. It's more predictable because it's just what you will expect your mainnet, how it works, how you'll expect your mainnet to work. The future net is more like for Stellar Development Foundation and developers to test new features that they might want to add to the mainnet. So this is where developers can see, okay, this is a new feature. Do we really need this feature? Is it really useful? And how can we improve it? So the FutureNet is like a test ground for the core developers. Like moving back here. Let me just move back a little bit. Sorry. So moving back here, like I said, we what we're learning here, we're gonna be dealing with application and developer tooling. But then there's other developers that work in the core protocol. So when they wanna add a feature on the mainnet, and they first test it on the future net, and the devs are going to test all the new features on the future net. And once it's agreed that okay, this is actually going to be useful, then they they upgrade the main network, and that's going to be replicated on the testnet. But also, you have to understand that it does not happen regularly. Upgrades doesn't happen regularly, so it's something that uh, happens like very rarely. So does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me go back to our slides. Oh yeah, so the future net is much more less predictable, and it has much more less predictable reset compared to the test net. And this makes sense. It makes perfect sense because uh, this is the network where new features are added and then tested. So of course they're gonna have to reset more and more often than the test net. So it also includes friend bot, just like the test net, to provide test lumens to devs while testing the network. Additional details, it's used for beta testing of new protocol changes and upgrades. So, and community feedback. So developers can provide feedback on new features, helping to shape the future and direction of Stellar Network. Any question so far? Any other question before we move on? Feel free to ask, or you can even type it uh, on the chat if you're more comfortable with that. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, now we're going to have an overview of the Stellar Core overview. Before we go there, I wanna go back again to the layers. So here we're speaking about the layers, the different layers of the Stellar stack. So we had a brief overview of the Stellar Core. So the Stellar Core is the backbone. I'll say it's the backbone of Stellar network, and that's where there's also a replication of that on the test net, and so that's where you have your Stellar consensus protocol. That's where you're dealing with your ledger and all that. So this is where we're gonna deep dive into, and then after that we're going to speak about the data availability and then the developer tooling and application. Okay, so I went too far. Okay, the Stellar core. So the first layer, the one that I show you, is the backbone of the Stellar network. It's responsible for maintaining the ledger and achieving consensus. So a question to you guys: uh, where is the Stellar core itself? Okay, better question. What is the difference between the Stellar core and the Stellar nodes? Or I think a better question will be, what's the relationship? Okay, what's the relationship between Stellar core and a Stellar node? Can anybody just try to answer this question? The relationship between the Stellar core and the Stellar node. Okay, each node should basically, okay. Each node, yes. Very correct. So I don't know if y'all see is Y'all see Rudolph's answer. So he said each node should basically have a copy of the core. So yes, that's one way to put it. So the Stellar core is the software that you have. This is what you install uh in your node, and it has all the algorithm, it has the consensus mechanism, and all that. And your node obviously is the computers that are connected in the network, in the blockchain network itself. So the Stellar Core nodes keep an updated copy of the ledger, correct? And it validates and processes transactions. It also reaches consensus every 5 to 7 seconds, and uses the consensus protocol to achieve consensus quickly and securely. So this is basically what it does. This is a Stellar Core on the Stellar Core. Additional detail, Federated Byzantine Agreement. So SCP consensus mechanism ensure decentralized control while maintaining security. So they got the idea of the consensus mechanism using the Federated Byzantine Agreement. This is not a new way. This is not new. And I also suggest that you make some research on that, on the Federated Byzantine Agreement. So it was a way for armies, before they attack a city, and they want to find valid information, like when they send spies to the country or the village that they want to attack, then they'll try to now get information from a set of different spies. But how did they ensure that the information that they get was valid before they can start and attack the village or the town or whatever it was? So that's the idea behind the Byzantine. But make more research. I'll advise that you make more research on that. Node types, there's different node roles such as validating nodes and not validating nodes, which contribute to network stability. I'm going to give you more info on that on different node type, because not every node are the same, and not every node have the whole copy of the blockchain. So that I'm gonna give you more info on that. So yeah, so far, any question about the Stellar Core? Anybody has a question? So does everyone understand so far? Thumbs up. Thumbs up for understanding. Okay. Here is a diagram that shows Stellar network. I don't think it's not really a very good diagram, but I think it makes sense. So you see Horizon API, you see the Stellar Core, and here you see the different nodes, and here you see the applications and the payment services, and then you have. So this just shows you how an application, if client-facing application, interact with the blockchain itself, whether it's an operation or that makes some changes in the blockchain or whatever it is. So before it gets into that, there is a layer that it has to pass in, which is the data information layer. So there's the RPC, for example, which deals with smart contract, and then there's also the Horizon, which enables viewing of the blockchain itself, and also sending transactions and all that. So here, this shows you an example of how the flow of how it interacts. So you have your app. So you have your app, like your mobile wallet, and you're trying to send it. Maybe you want to send some crypto to your friend. Before that happens, it goes through the Horizon API, and then the Stellar core, where you have all your algorithm, and when your transaction is validated, then uh, it's broadcasted across all the nodes in the network, and your blockchain is updated. So yeah, this is just a brief overview of that. Does it make sense? Thumbs up. Okay. Okay, running a Stellar core node. So you, as a person, can actually run your own node, or you can use services like AWS servers or AWS to do that. But you can actually run your own node and be a validator. But one thing that you should also understand when you compare Stellar with other blockchains like Bitcoin, for example, and Ethereum, they have rewards. So they reward validators. But with Stellar, in the case of Stellar, you don't get XLM, or you don't get reward in that way. But what motivates people to run nodes is the need for a trusted network, a trusted and decentralized network. So when you run a node, for example, for one of your reason you do that is to support the network and to make it more and more decentralized. And that's it. That's what it is in sense. That's what it is. You're making the blockchain system more and more decentralized. So running a Stellar core node. Running a Stellar core node ensures the accuracy of the ledger and allows participation in network governance. So the more and more nodes join the network, the more and more there's an increase of decentralization. Because just imagine, let's say we have 1,000 computers in the US that are running the nodes, that are running the Stellar blockchain nodes, and then there is 50 computers in South Africa running the nodes. Yes, there's decentralization, but it will, it seems as that decentralization will be more centralized, will be more concentrated in one place, which is not something that we really want. We want to be more decentralized, and the more decentralized it is, that's when we can also have trust in the system. We can also, you also can be part of that if you want to do that. So the benefit of running a node, there's increased network decentralization, there's enhanced security, and there's potential influence in network decisions. So this is another thing that you can consider. Installation and maintenance steps. This one I'm going to show. I'm not going to show it now. I'm not link it up in the document, in this document. So if you're interested, you can also run your own node, maybe for just educational purpose or for something that you really want to do and be live 24/7. And additional detail, hardware requirements. So the steps will show you the hardware requirement that you need, and explanation of how nodes participate in consensus process. So this we're going to talk more on the other slides, explaining how the consensus process works and how it contributes to the network's health. Alrighty, so now we're jumping into a data availability layer, uh, Horizon API overview. So Horizon is the RESTful API server that provide programmatic access to the Stellar network, enabling transaction submission and data querying. So this is just the layer that is, so Horizon is just, so the layer is where the data uh, availability layer is where the Horizon API is situated. So the Horizon API is just a server that provides programmatic access. So let's say you want to view what's happening in the blockchain. You want to view all the transactions. The way to do that, one way to do that is through the Horizon API. And anybody can also run RESTful API server, Horizon RESTful API server. So even you can also do that to provide access to the blockchain. So it acts as an interface for applications, so facilitate communication between applications and the Stellar network. And it communicates via SDKs, web browsers, and command tools. Supports various methods of interaction to suit different developer needs. So this is something also going to work with the Horizon API. But you have to understand that the Horizon API does not deal with smart contract operations. So that one, we RPC deals with that. So the Horizon API just deals with uh, querying data, finding out, viewing the data, and also enabling transactions. If you want to sending lumens, for example, that can happen in the Horizon API. Additional details, data endpoint provides endpoint for accessing account information, transaction history, and more. It's easy to integrate with existing system and application through RESTful calls. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to show you it in action. Oh, no, we can do it when we start coding. I want to show you in action when we start coding. I just create a simple application that communicate with Horizon API, not a smart contract, just an application that does that. Any question? So if you have any questions so far, just raise your hand. No questions. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is the Horizon API architecture diagram. You can see the Stellar core and you see the Horizon. So question to you, why are we seeing so many Horizon here? Why isn't only like one? Because yeah, I'm seeing Horizon here. Yes, Mukhtar?
I presume because there's multiple entry and exit nodes with various connections to the APIs.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So there is various providers. There's various providers. Some of them you even pay them to use their services. So to connect to the Stellar core. So this is it, how it looks like. A diagram, just a visual diagram to see how it is. So you see Stellar core. So these are just the different nodes in the blockchain network that are running the blockchain. And then there's endpoints in the Horizon API. So using Horizon API, Horizon can be accessed using various tools and SDKs, making it easier to interact with the Stellar network. Using SDK to simplify communications. So SDKs abstract the complexity of direct API calls, providing a more intuitive interface. So SDK basically make life easier for developers to communicate, to do API calls and communicate to the blockchain. So an example of using curl to interact with Horizon. So that I'm going to show you. Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate it when we code, create a simple application. Additional details, authentication is so when you use providers and you don't, if you're not running your own Horizon server, then you have to use the service. You have to use the services of other providers, and those other providers also have limits. They have rate limits, and they have, so you can't just use however, and you have to pay for the services. It's not free, so that's something that you also have to consider when you working with Horizon API. Error handling, there's common error responses on how to handle them. Okay, this we'll learn later on. And moving on, any question? If you have any question, you can disturb me anytime. Okay, this is something we're going to also be dealing with. The RPC, Soroban's RPC servers facilitate interaction with smart contracts on the Stellar blockchain, handling requests and responses. So the RPC is like a door between smart contract and the blockchain itself. So when you create your smart contract, your smart contract, and your smart contract has various operations, and it interacts through the RPC server. JSON RPC server for smart contract. This provides a standardized method for communicate with Soroban contract, and the process of sending and receiving requests, details on how RPC calls are structured and processed. This we're going to deal more on that when we start coding and when we learn Rust. And additional details, RPC method, list of available RPC methods and their use cases. We're gonna see that later. And security consideration, best practices for securing RPC endpoint. Okay, this we're going to be dealing with when we start coding using Soroban. So for now, don't worry about this. So Stellar Development Foundation provides free RPC endpoints for testnets and future nets suitable for development and testing. So here you don't have to worry when you test your application because it's completely free to use the RPC endpoint. So free RPC endpoint for testnet and futurenet allows developers to interact with smart contract without incurring costs, and need to select an ecosystem provider to run your own RPC instance for mainnet. So this is it's your option, whatever you decide to use, whether you can use your own RPC instance, or you can select a provider to work with. So option for mainnet usage includes self-hosting or using third-party providers. So additional details, overview of different deployment strategy for RPC servers, tips for optimizing RPC servers, something we're gonna deal with later. So now SDK overview. Those who are familiar with coding or front end coding. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with SDKs. So SDKs simply simplifies the interactions with Horizon and Soroban RPC, allowing developers to work in the preferred programming languages. Uh, Rust is not the only language that you can use to create smart contract. There are other languages that you can use, like Python, Java, JavaScript, but it has to be first translated into WASM before running in the before running as a smart contract. It has to be translated into WASM. So support languages for Stella and Soroban SDKs. So here's a list of programming languages that are supported. It's JavaScript, it's Python, Java, and Go. Additional details. So you also can contribute on Stella with creating tools that makes coding and developing application on the Soroban, developing application on Stella easier for developers. So all these tools that are coming out are community contributions where you also can contribute, or you can submit maybe you can submit any issue that you have, anything that you want to change. You can also do that. And documentation resources. So here's a link to documentation and community forum. So yeah, in your free time, you can go through this. And don't worry about the SDK usage here. This I'm going to show you when we start coding, like code snippet. So showing you common operations. Okay, so developing with SDKs. Using SDKs, developers can write smart contracts in Rust and interact with them in other languages, streamlining development process. Writing smart contract in Rust. This is where we're gonna get in. We're gonna deep dive into creating smart contract. So the way we're gonna do this is first, we're going to learn how to code in Rust, from a basic level to a intermediate level, where you can create a full application that has maybe like a library application, for example, where you store your books, or an application that can be used in a hospital, storing users, storing patients, patient number, and doctors, so forth. So we're going to build this type of application before jumping into building smart contracts. So this is just to get your hand dirty, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys here, maybe this is going to be your first time coding, so be ready for that. Yeah, I think we're going to stop. Yeah, we're going to stop here. But does anybody has any question so far? Any question and concern? Yes, Willa?
In the video that you shared, there was no that part where you were building the blockchain. So can you also upload that one?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Because it took a while I had problem with downloading it, but I'm gonna do that again. Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to upload it
All right.
tonight. Yeah, because
I think
I managed to download it. I just need to upload it now. Okay. So any other questions? Eric? Yes, Eric?
Okay, okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Uh, I did find some issues joining the live session. I joined the first one, missed the second, not this is the third one.
Yeah.
Do you have like our WhatsApp, like where we like on WhatsApp group or something where we interacting with the
Yes.
community?
Let me share. Oh no.
Please do.
Are you in a are you in Discord?
Um,
Are you in Discord?
yes, I'm in Discord.
Go to the South African chapter on Discord. Are you on Stellar
Okay.
Development Foundation? Stellar Developers Discord.
No, but I cannot get right now.
Okay, let me give you a link. Let me just search for it very quick. Because I don't have it handy right now. So basically I logged that out of everything in my laptop. So let me look for it. Any other question? In the meantime, we're done. I'm just going to look for the link to share. Yeah. Okay, I shared the Discord. So once you go there, you just have to go down to South African chapter, because you're going to see, when you scroll down, you're going to see a place it's written ambassadors, and just scroll down, look for South African chapter. We also have Telegram, but I logged out of everything, so it's gonna take me a while to get it. But on Discord, South African Discord, you'll find it. So any other questions before we leave? All right. This is the end of our session, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. Enjoy your night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Oh,
I've managed to join the Discord group. I think everything is alright now.
yeah. So just go to South African